So we've lived with an alcoholic, somebody that's got an addiction. So I read up about this quite extensively, and I found out that through living with somebody that's an alcoholic, we become what's called a para-alcoholic. So we can develop very similar behaviours to them, but demonstrate it in different ways. One of those can be our own addiction. So whilst they're addicted to alcohol, we can find our own addictions, and that helps us to cope with the situation that we find ourselves in. And this is something that, again, can go through and affect into our adult life. So we are 1 in 5 more likely to develop an addiction to alcohol than others that haven't lived in an alcoholic home. And for me, one of my addictions was shopping. And I used to go clothes shopping every week and always buy something. It made me feel good. And it wasn't until years later that I realised that I'd been using shopping as a way of coping with life, as a distraction, something that was going to make me feel good. Because I wasn't feeling good on the inside, so I was finding something that was going to make me feel good outside of myself. So you might have something, maybe you're a workaholic, maybe that's a good distraction for you and makes you feel good because you're achieving something, you've got a purpose. Maybe it's gambling, maybe it's drinking, maybe you've developed your own drinking addiction. Maybe it's smoking, it could be anything. But it's something that you will have to reflect on and know. You may well know what your addiction is. I also love sweets and sugar, and that has a lot of similarities with alcohol because of the sugar content, and it's very addictive. And I do find it very difficult to not eat sweets and cakes and things like that. But one of my addictions was shopping, and it wasn't until I started looking at myself and how I felt about myself that I was able to realise I didn't really need the shopping anymore. Because the shopping's only filling a void. Whatever your addiction is, it fills a void. It could be obsessive compulsive disorder or something that, again, gives you this sense of control and fulfilment. And so once I'd realised that I was using shopping as a way of escaping and connecting with myself and enjoying myself, feeling good, I started to look at how I can do that in other ways. So once I started going to therapy, which is something that I will always recommend to people because it's what I've done and it's worked hugely for me, I started to realise more things about myself. I started to become much more grateful for things in life. I started to know who I was, understand who is Jo, what makes her happy, what does she need. And when I started feeling better about myself and I had more confidence and more self-esteem, which took a long time, it's over a period of time, I noticed that my need to go shopping sort of lessened because I had other interests that made me feel good, like singing and going out with friends and going to football and things like that I didn't really need to go shopping anymore. I still enjoy it, but not to the point where I'm using it to cope or to feel good. It's always about the underlying reason why we're doing these things. Is it healthy? Also, it affected me in terms of money, because I was spending a lot of money on it. So maybe you could reflect on the things that you might be addicted to and how it's serving you. And if you are finding it quite difficult to let go of some of these things, then I would always suggest seeking proper help for addressing your addiction and making sure that you're happy with the person that you see. So that would be my advice, is to have a look at the things that you're addicted to and what void it's filling. What does it give you? And do you notice when you do it in a particular time? Is it when you're really stressed or feeling low, or when does it happen? I hope you found that helpful.